Good Friday morning, friends. Welcome back for another episode of the Finding God in the Dark podcast. My name is Don,
And my name is Jonathan.
and today we are looking at I forgot the year, 19.
I want to say 64, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, it's old. It's black and white. It's in the picture behind Jonathan.
Yeah.
The film is called To Kill a Mockingbird. It is based on the novel by
Harper Lee.
Harper Lee. I was right there because I kept thinking Pearl because she wrote another book about the
And
Black
that
Pearl or
that was
something.
1954 is when she wrote that.
Okay. So, it stars Gregory Peck, a very young Robert Duvall, who kind of makes an
62.
appearance towards the end. 62. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so let's get the low-hanging fruit out of the way right from the get-go. Racism is bad.
Yes. Shocker.
Um, if you have not ever seen this film, first off, like you read the book in high school, right? Because we all had to. Um, that's a primary theme here.
Yes.
Racism is bad. I want to. That's the low hanging fruit. I don't want to dwell on that. I think there's so much more to this film than that.
Yeah.
And that's not that is not an attempt to sweep it under the rug in any way, shape, or form. Just that's really obvious. And
Yeah.
you know, I think sometimes we try to look for something that's less obvious in
Yeah.
this podcast. So,
Yeah.
so let's. Where else should we start, John?
Um, I I forgot how kind of melancholy the ending was. I forgot that like it doesn't end on a we tied all this stuff up and we're going in a better direction as a society. It did not do that at all.
No, no, not at
Um,
all.
and I agree with you. I don't want to focus on racism as bad, but it really is fascinating how willing this movie and the book is. I haven't read the book forever, but I'm guessing the
Mhm.
book too is about kind of saying um, this idea that we have a tendency to believe race is just one thing and it's easy to fix. And what this book really challenges you on is there's layers of this, right? So it's intersected with class and it's intersected with poverty. It's intersected with um, kind of education. It intersects with all these things that kind of feed
Mental
into
health.
a massive trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, mental health. I mean, the Boo Radley
Yeah.
character is a whole kind of a picture of
Yeah.
mental health issues, right?
Yeah.
So
I
there's
think, yeah.
good.
No, I think a lot of this movie, it's as it touches on race, but it touches on a lot of things around the ideas of what are the assumptions we make about other people?
Hmm.
And do we question those? And are we going to, as a society, live up to the principles we claim our society was founded on?
And
So, like,
not just the assumptions, but I think that the marginalization as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it's obviously the black population marginalized, but then
yeah,
the Boo Radley
yeah,
storyline, just this mental health person's
yeah,
marginalized, push and shunned in a lot of ways,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Good.
No, I think to me, it's I also forgot. And I don't know why I forgot it, but it does a lot of that work about assumptions by making the viewpoint of the entire movie from the viewpoint of the kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The kids are, we only see things when the kids are there. We don't see Tom running out of the house. We don't see um, Mr. Newell beating his daughter. We don't see anything outside of the view of the kids. They're always there, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because it came, even the last line of the movie, or one, no, actually not the last line, but one of the last lines is from Scout where she says, Dad always said, or Atticus always says, Atticus always says that you don't understand someone until you put on their shoes and walked around a while.
Yeah.
And I think Harper Lee, or at least the director of this movie, is trying to get at that idea by point of view. Because normally in a movie like this, you would not have the children be the point of view. They would be off to the side. They would be the kind of damsels in distress, but they wouldn't be the primary viewpoint of all of this. And it makes you think about, okay, what does, how does a child see justice? How does a child see race? How does a child see a person with a disability? How does a child come to all the assumptions our society makes that we don't think about? And I think it's really interesting, that viewpoint, that idea of viewpoint.
There's there's almost this like it's perspective, right? It's a
Yeah.
childlike perspective
Yes.
on the whole story. And I think that's most vividly seen in one word that Scout uses several times throughout the film.
Yeah.
And the word is hey. Just,
Yeah.
like when the confrontation at the
Yeah.
courthouse,
Yeah.
Atticus is sitting outside the courthouse to protect Tom from a lynch mob.
Yeah.
And then the kids show up.
Yeah.
Well, the kids show up before the mob does, but the kids kind of interject themselves into that. And
Yeah.
and then there's this realization, like she doesn't know most of these men, but then, oh, there's this guy who's Atticus has done legal work for and has been paying with, livestock and food and things like
Yeah.
that.
And
And
she
she
knows
just says,
and she knows his son from
yeah,
school.
and well, she had a fight with his son at
Yeah.
school, but then they invited him
Yeah.
to the home
Dinner.
to the house for dinner.
Yeah.
Um, and so she got to see, how this kid lived, and now here's this guy's part of the lynch mob. Uh, what was his last name? Mr.
I don't remember, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I don't either, but she, just that sort of childlike, hey, Mr. Smith, like, and then later on when she realizes who it was that rescued her at the end of the film,
Yeah.
just that long shot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great filmmaking, right? This long shot of just her face
Yeah.
as she comes to the realization that the person standing in the corner behind the door
Is the
is
person
Boo
who rescued.
Radley,
Yeah.
right? And just that look, I mean, you get chills watching it, the like for a child actor, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but just that word though kind of encapsulates that whole idea of the perspective of the film
Yeah.
in when she's just, hey, boo,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yes.
Um, it, I'm, I'm, I'm gonna, I'm old. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm old. Um, it, I think I forget sometimes how great some of these older films are.
Yeah.
Like because you get so wrapped up in all of the spectacle of the films that come out nowadays.
Yeah.
And yet you go back to a film that's very simplistic, like simple, let's not
Yeah.
say simplistic, but simple, like this film. And it is so well done.
Yeah.
Um, without just punching you in the face with
Yeah.
the things,
Yeah.
the themes and the ideas. It's just so well done in a way that why are movie makers not studying these films anymore and trying to do this with films nowadays,
I don't. I honestly think unfortunately we've shifted into a time where most studios are interested in making a ton of money and driving people there to see spectacle.
Yeah,
And like, let's be honest, if you made this movie today, it might make $30 million
it'd be
if
a
you're lucky.
bomb. It would be a box office
Yeah.
bomb.
But
Yeah,
if you're lucky, it would make 20 or $30 million, you know, if you're lucky.
yeah,
And it would get award buzz. But it's not going to drive, it's not going to be a $200 million movie. It's not going to be a movie that has the potential to be $1 billion movie.
Right.
And so I think there's this interest in believing that what people come to the movies for are these grand spectacles that you have to see on screen. And these smaller movies are more and more going to Netflix or going to streaming service. But I think the problem is with that is I don't think you get the encouragement to kind of develop a deeper kind of nuanced performance. I think the streamers are interested in smaller spectacle, but they still want to shock you into watching, or they want you to produce something that's going to, kind of be the talk of the water cooler. And this movie is a piece of art that I think makes you really examine yourself and your community. But it's not something you're probably going to sit around and like talk about at a dinner table for 4 days,
I saw, and maybe this is why this idea came up for me, because I saw a video earlier this week on YouTube. This guy was saying, why do modern movies suck?
Yeah, yeah.
And he said his basic premise was that modern filmmaking is not good because everything has been shortened up so much
Yeah,
that, it's all about creating content,
yeah,
for streaming services or content for YouTube or content for
yeah.
Instagram or content for TikTok. And so films like this that make you sit for 2 hours to get through these ideas and these
Yeah.
themes, people don't want to sit for that.
Well, and
Their attention span
yeah.
is gone.
And the other thing is that because the kids are the primary lens through which the story is told, they start the movie with 20 minutes of you just spending time with the kids.
Right.
And the kids aren't doing anything spectacular. They're literally playing, they're goofing around, they're meeting their new neighbor, they're like
Yep.
getting in trouble, but not like trouble that would, it's not going to drive attention. And so, like, I thought about the fact that my kids would probably be completely lost on their phones because there's no explosions and no big event happens in the
Mhm.
first 20 minutes. You just
Yeah.
spend time with the kids.
You got to think that if this film were remade today,
Yeah.
which please Hollywood do not do that, okay? But if it were, you have to think that they would probably start with the crime.
Yes. They would
It
absolutely
would
would.
start with Robert Yule beating his daughter, blaming Tom Robinson. It would be it would be a crime drama,
Yes.
whereas
Actually,
this is not a crime drama.
probably what you would do today, what they probably do with today would be you would start with Tom running out of the house and you'd spend a good chunk of the money movie not knowing if Tom did anything wrong or not. Like if maybe he did try to sexually assault her. I don't know. Like, and most of
And
the movie,
they would hint at it. They would,
yeah,
there would be innuendo that it actually happened, or that he was having an affair with this girl on his wife, like they would the story would be completely different because they'd be creating content and
yes.
not a story.
Well,
And man,
and
have I said this? How many times have I said this on this podcast? I don't want content. I don't want spectacle. Tell me a good story.
well, that's to me, that's what's powerful about this movie is very quickly Tom didn't do it. Like within the first 5 minutes of the trial, Tom didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're left with why on earth isn't the judge doing something? Why on earth isn't the sheriff doing something? Why on earth isn't somebody going, okay, this is stupid, throw this case out? Like, and yet it speaks to this idea that we sometimes get so lost in our assumptions and in the construction of our societies that we built, you know, that we're not willing to reflect and say, are we going in the wrong direction here? Are we making assumptions and are we doing stuff that doesn't make sense? We just keep going on. We keep moving forward because it's too difficult to do the hard work of deconstruction or to argue that this whole society has to be remade.
reflection or discernment or yeah, these are terms that don't make any sense in modern society, right?
Because you have, to me, there's to me, I forgot again the end of the movie, which to me is very sad with this with the sheriff's speech, where he essentially goes, he says, "A black man died for nothing. I don't want to." Basically, he says, "I made a mistake with Tom. I don't want to make a mistake with Boo." But that's the only time in the whole movie does anyone other than Atticus and the black community and maybe the kids ever give you any hint that they recognize, yeah, this is stupid. We shouldn't have done this. I guess you could maybe mention that the judge goes out of the courtroom so quickly and seems to kind of exasperately shut the door. But until the sheriff, nobody in the community says, this was wrong. We shouldn't have done this. And
Yeah. Yeah. There were what were the there were other idea that I thought was really compelling here. Um there okay, so reflect back to the title of the film, right?
yeah,
To Killing Mockingbird. At the beginning of the film,
yeah,
that becomes, Atticus explaining something to
yeah,
Scout about, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird because
yeah,
all they do is sing.
yeah,
They only provide good to the world,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And in the film, you think, well, and it's not wrong, but you think that the Mockingbird is Tom
Is Tom.
Robinson,
Yeah,
except that that's not where you end up.
yeah.
Like, yes, he is, but
You end
Boo
up
Radley
with
too.
Blue Rally. Yeah, yeah.
Because he, and we never really get, to understand why. Is it mental health? Is it whatever it is?
Yeah,
There's been some kind of incident with him.
yeah,
He is isolated.
yeah.
He stays in the house, except that he doesn't. He kind of sneaks out and you know, maybe he spies on the kids at night, maybe he doesn't. He
It
keeps
it
an
sou-
eye
it,
on them.
it sounds like he basically is kind of like their Santa Claus. He gives them gifts. He leaves them things.
He leaves some gifts in the knot of a
Yeah,
tree outside the
yeah,
house.
yeah,
But also, I mean, he's there
yeah,
when the kids are attacked by
yeah,
Mr. Yule,
yeah. You'll,
Newell,
you'll,
Yule, whatever it is.
yeah,
At the end of the film, towards the end of the film,
yeah.
he's there. He's the one that saves
Protect,
the kids, protects
yeah.
the kids.
He's their guardian angel almost. Yeah,
And, it's funny because part of that speech from the sheriff is him saying, it would be a sin
yeah,
to prosecute Boo Radley.
yeah.
And immediately when he says sin, you're meant to do this. You're meant to reflect back to what Atticus
Oh,
said at the beginning,
absolutely.
to kill a mockingbird.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
even Scout underlines that by saying, mentioning the Mockingbird at the end.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's an interesting parallel, right? Um, that yes, it's kind of the on the nose one is
Yeah.
Tom Robinson.
Yeah.
The one that's not quite so on the nose is, hey, it's not, look, racism is bad, but so is all other kinds of marginalization of people, right? Um, which I don't think Harper Lee, I don't think the director, um, well, I mean, I guess it is what they meant.
Yeah.
I'm sure it
Yeah.
is what they
No,
meant.
I really think it's interesting because, again, you said, and I think it's true, most of us encounter this book in high school as an assignment,
Hmm.
and that's when we experience it, and that's probably the last time we experience it. And coming back to it after all these years, it's probably been 25, 30 years since I've thought about this book, or not, I shouldn't say thought about it, but read it. And it's really more of a social critique than anything else. It's a critique of these good people that should know better, that won't put on the brakes, that won't say, hey, this is not how this is supposed to be. This is not what we should do. you know, and you get this sense of it's really about how we as people treat one another. That's really what the movie is about. It focuses that in a lot on race, but it's really about how do we treat our neighbors? How do you know? And so for Christians, it's pretty low hanging fruit, but it's you're supposed to love your neighbor. How are you loving your neighbor? I'm doing a sermon series right now around stewardship, and I'm using um, or give all you or sorry earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can, which is a curriculum based on a sermon Wesley gave called the use of money. And he gives four principles of how you should think about earning, saving, and giving. And the principles are you should reflect on how is this going to benefit my health, how is this going to bless my soul, how is this going to bless my neighbor, and how is this going to draw me closer to God. Those are kind of his questions he feels like you need to ask around money. And to me, this movie is really asking the question, how are you blessing your neighbor? Like how are we treating one another? That's kind of the to me one of the foundational pieces of this book and movie. It's about how are we treating each other? And to me, that's why it can be so powerful, I think, in this time because we treat each other really poorly. like
There's another level even I think to this in that um there's this whole undercurrent in the film about what's truth
yeah,
and what's lies,
yeah,
and also what is fact and what is rumor
yeah,
or innuendo or
yeah,
gossip.
yeah,
And I think that is, I would guess that that's intentionally another way that they want us to think about how we treat each other.
sure,
Lying to each other, lying about each other, or um, dealing in gossip and innuendo, you know,
yeah,
particularly like you focus on the Boo Radley character and the Radley family.
yeah,
That's the whole thing. Like you don't really know what's going on, but there's a lot of stories,
yeah,
and how many of those stories are actually true? Nobody knows.
yeah.
But we still deal them, we still share them with each other and, create more stories out of it.
And once the kids pierce the veil of their assumptions and the stories about Boo Radley, right? What is revealed behind that curtain is a protector, a
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
It's not a monster. He's not a monster. He's not dangerous to them. He is a protector and a friend.
Hmm.
But they only see it when they're actually willing to go through the assumptions and actually engage with him as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the story of the novel too is when we take the time to get to know one another, we tend to see each other differently.
Indeed. Indeed. There was, I just had another thought. Now I think I've lost it. Um, I lost it. Uh, so where else do we want to go? Anything else you wanted to talk about this one?
Let's see. Trying to think of a scene or I really I again I didn't reflect on it for a long time, but to me one of the most powerful scenes is a very quick scene where Boo Rowley's father um, cements up the or closes up the
The
knot.
knothole in the tree. Yeah.
So this place of that was a gift, this place of an attempt to give and to bless others. His instinct was to just shut it down, to just block it.
Hmm.
Um, again, I think about it's from Proverbs. I wish I remembered where in Proverbs is, but there's a line that you can easily skip over when you're reading through Proverbs, and it basically says, um, "We you should live your life with your hand open and not closed." And um, you can really skip over that line quickly, but what it's trying to get at, I would argue, is that you can't give or receive unless your hands open.
Yeah.
And you also have to risk stuff, right? Because your hands open. But if you close your hand, you can never give, but you can also never receive. And that moment of shutting that doorway of blessing was a powerful reminder that he was blocking his son's really kind of window to the world, or and not just his window to the world, but his way to bless others, right? So he took away his purpose in a weird way. Like that was part of his purpose, was to bless these kids, right? And it just reminds me of how often do we shut people down, and maybe ourselves too, from blessing other people by building walls or covering over things instead of allowing them to be open and risk in engagement.
Yeah. And the key word really is risk, right?
Yeah,
Because it's not just engagement, but you risk loss, you risk
yeah,
being hurt emotionally, physically sometimes even. But
yeah,
if you don't, if you don't take that risk, then you are Boo Radley,
yeah,
right? You are the isolated person who never leaves their house,
yeah,
and that's an interesting take because it's like this is his way to leave the house, is to
yeah,
leave these little gifts for the kids, which nowadays would be considered pretty creepy, but
yeah,
it's in the context of this film, it's kind of, well, again, from the perspective of these children, right? Is it has this almost wonder to it, right?
yeah.
When they
It's
realize
almost,
that these carvings are of them,
yeah.
you know?
Well, it's almost in a weird way. It's him throwing a message in a bottle
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and he's hoping someone will pick it up and someone will respond. I mean, I would argue that's what he's trying to do, right? For whatever
Mhm.
reason, his father is isolating him in the house and
Yeah.
isolating him from the community. And these gifts are an attempt almost like to throw out a line and hope someone grabs it and you know, pulls him out.
I remembered the other thing I wanted
Yeah.
to ask. Okay. So the end of the courtroom scene, um, the kids are in the balcony with
Yeah.
all of the black members of the community,
Yeah.
and the verdict has come down. They found Tom guilty, even though it's very obviously not guilty, right?
Yeah.
But everyone in the lower level, all the white folks have left except for Atticus, who's packing up. And when he goes to leave, all of the black people stand.
Yeah.
And the preacher, who the kids have been sitting with the preacher up there, he tells Scout, Jean Louise, stand.
Yeah.
Your father's passing by. And
Yeah.
it's so powerful. But what do we want to say about that?
Well, it's to me, I would say it's a good image of one person can make a difference, right? One person can have an impact.
There you go.
Um, and I do think it's something that I mean you could easily caricature it and critique it and say, oh, it's just another white savior idea. But that's really not what the movie's going for.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
The movie is going for this idea that he stood up. He knew what was right, and he stood up and tried to proclaim to the community, this is what's right.
Yeah.
And that that seed, right? That seed, you have to believe, or at least I think the author wants to believe, that seed will make a difference. You
So
know,
it's really just a symbol of respect for the one person in the community who has done the right thing.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I would argue you kind of see that from Jim when he says, I believe, I need to go back and look, but I believe the last thing he says, he wants to go with his father to tell the family that Tom has been killed. And his Atticus at first says no. And then I believe he says, Dad, I want to go with you. And and then that's the first time he's ever called him dad, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, son. And you get this sense that in a weird way, I feel like you get this sense that Jim has that seed has been planted in Jim, and he's going to be a better person because of what Atticus did.
Is it also maybe just again a symbol of respect, right?
Yeah,
That this is the first time he's called him dad instead
yeah,
of calling Atticus.
yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. This, friends, if you have honestly, if you have never seen this film, I don't know what you're waiting for.
It's
This
odd
is
that you're watching this podcast. That's like,
it could be. It's true. Um, this is really, I mean, we talked last week before last week, the last 2 weeks, we've talked about really phenomenal films that are AFI top 100 type of films. These are films you should see. There's a reason. Yes, I know the film industry likes to pat themselves on the back a lot. I get it. But these are films that are really worth your time.
yes,
Um, I can't recommend this film enough. I think it's great. Even more than like, look, we pull the themes out. That's part of what we do. But I mean, this film is just so well shot. It's so well acted. It's a really great film. If you have not seen this, don't skip it.
go see it.
You could pay 350 and watch it on Amazon Prime if you have to. Go out and buy a DVD copy, pirate it on YouTube. I didn't say that. You know, it's worth your time. And we'll leave it there. Let's talk about what we're going to watch next week. Now, I've picked the last two films, so
I think I know where I want to go. It's the first
okay,
movie. It's the first when I put in movies about gratitude. It was the first movie that came up on the first two lists I looked at,
okay,
and it it will require us to go from really male-driven films to a female-driven film.
okay.
So, Little Women is going to be my suggestion.
Oh my, okay.
And I think we should do the 2019 movie because that was the one that's come out most recently, and it's the one that gets a lot of it's been commented on as being a very good version of it. So
Okay. That not generally my cup of tea, but
I know,
I'll
but
pick two,
we're
but
here to we're here. I've never seen it either. I've honestly never read the book. And but see, this show is also about pushing us, not just pushing
we're
us.
here to stretch our own boundaries. That's right. All
Right.
right. So then next week we will watch Little Women 2019, the
Yeah.
2019 version of Little Women.
Yeah.
Who's in that? Do you know?
Saoirse Ronan is one of the big pieces.
Okay.
And then who's the person that played Hermione in Harry Potter? She's also
Yeah. Heather Graham. Heather.
no. She's she's a English actress, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't. Just top of my head, I'm not remembering.
Emma
But
Watson, right?
Emma Watson. That's right. Emma Watson.
Yeah.
You are correct, my friend. All right. So next week's film, 2019, Little Women. Until then, friends, keep on finding God in the dark. We'll see you all next week. Take care and God bless.
Like,
Oh, hey, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate your support. And friends, if you find anything that's really wonderful or entertaining or helpful in your Christian walk, we want to encourage you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends. We publish every Friday morning at 10 a.m. And we hope that you continue to find these videos and these discussions entertaining and informative. Take care and God bless. Bye.